Hey, how's it going? This is Kevin. I play with Kids on Fire, and you're listening to Grit City Punk. Ciao.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello. This is Jeremy from Grit City Punk, Tacoma's underground punk, hardcore, alternative DIY music variety show. It's good to be back. Got a hell of a show for you today. I've got Kevin, the animal drummer from Kids on Fire. He's a really rad guy. I've got an interview with him. We've got a bunch of new music to go over, a couple of show announcements, and a quick little recap. On May 15th, I held the Terror of Tacoma 2 show at Real Art. This was the second annual show of Terror in Tacoma, which will become an annual thing every May. The first Terror of Tacoma was May 30th, 2025. So just about 1 year ago. This week will be 1 year since I've been booking shows, and I'm having a blast. I hope everybody that comes has a blast. Terror in Tacoma 2 last week was insane. The bands were on fire. We had Sunbather Freakin' Die, Stormboy, Anti-Summer, Downsize, and Surreal. And I got to tell you, everybody was blown away by Surreal. They're kind of new to the Tacoma area. I think they've only played twice in Tacoma. But if you will remember, I interviewed them last year in the summer, I think. Their music is dope. They're a great band. And it was a fun show. Yeah, it was a great show. And I really thank everybody for coming out. We had a hell of a time. The following day, on Saturday, the 16th, was the Rat, a Community Love Letter documentary screening. My good friend Rabbit Hutch Punk, a.k.a. William, made a whole-ass documentary about Real Art. And we screened it on Saturday last week at Real Art. And it was so cool to see. And, you know, we had a full house, and I think everybody really enjoyed the documentary. I sure did. And then we had two bands for the after party. It was Kapala and Liability, which always a treat to see both bands, and they fucking killed it. The next Grit City Punk rock show won't be until July 3rd. I haven't made the flyer for it yet. It's coming soon, but it's going to be a benefit show for the Gender Justice League. It will be at Real Art. It is July 3rd. Mark your calendars. Fuck your 4th of July plans. July 3rd, you're going to be at Real Art celebrating gender freedom with Grit City Punk and all our friends. Full lineup will be announced soon. What else has been happening? Like I said, there's some cool music we got to talk about, but first I got to give a shout out to the homies in True. They're having quite a moment. They've had quite a couple of weeks here. Their follower count has more than doubled, and they have got over 1 million views on one of their videos for their new song. Holy shit, they're having a moment, and that's trickling down throughout the scene. Myself and Dr. Polish Matt have both seen some viewership and listenership increases from it. And I just got to say, congratulations, kids. It's been a rocky road, but you guys are doing it. And with that, let's get on to the new music. I'm going to get my one non-local recommendation out of the way here. Surprise release. Well, it was a surprise for me, I guess, because I really wasn't paying attention. But the Claypool Lennon Delirium, which is a group comprised of Les Claypool of Primus and Sean Lennon, has released a new album just a week or two ago, or maybe it was at the beginning of the month. It's called The Great Parrot Ox and the Golden Egg of Empathy. It's a concept album about the dangers of AI and how it's destroying art. And this is a pretty cool fucking album. If you're a fan of Primus, or if you are a fan of like psychedelic 60s sounding music, then I definitely recommend checking that out. It is the Claypool Lennon Delirium album, The Great Parrot Ox and the Golden Egg of Empathy. Les Claypool, busy guy lately. They also dropped a new Primus EP, And I guess there's a new Fearless Flying Frog Brigade album coming out soon too. So definitely check that out if you're into that kind of stuff. And if you don't know if you're into that kind of stuff, check it out anyways, because the Clan Laypool Delirium is very much not like Primus. It is a lot more kind of, like I said, 60s psychedelic rock kind of oriented, but very cool, and I recommend it. And I also recommend the following local releases that I will get into right now. Okay, first up, Bellingham-based emo band. I guess they're an emo band. I don't know. They're pretty pop punk, pretty emo punk, I guess. They're called Made Up Words. They are from Bellingham, and they are apparently relative newcomers. I never heard of them until just a few weeks ago, and they dropped a double A-side single, which is Miserable as Me / The Headlights Look Like Stars in the Mist. Great single, great couple of songs here. Just absolutely blown away at how cool this is. You might have seen them. They recorded a song with Polish Matt at the Cave up in Bellingham. That was released last week. And they've also got a video for their performance at Lucky Liquor, which is up. Dr. Matt was on both of those. Yeah, they're a really cool band. Unfortunately, I think they are going on hiatus for the summer, hopefully just the summer, and they will be back in the fall. I'm hoping. I would like to see them for sure. So this is a band called Made Up Words, and this is their single Miserable as Me.
It's not considered when you
Seattle area punk band Jet Set Fever has just dropped a new EP. It's a 3-track EP. It's called Nothing Tracks. And this is really cool. I think everybody will dig this. It's got a really cool, like, old school punk mixed with a little bit of, like, elements of hardcore punk and elements of grunge in it. And it's really freaking cool. So check this out. This is from the Nothing Tracks EP, brand new from Jet Set Fever. This song is called Lash Out. Portland hardcore band Dayz has a new project out. It's called Bleeding Nectar. And if you like Portland hardcore, which if you're not listening to Portland hardcore, what the hell are you even doing with your life? They have got some of the sickest hardcore bands in the scene right now. Dayz is definitely no exception. Their new EP is so dope. I'm going to play for you a song from it called Stems of Jasmine, but I highly recommend listening to the whole thing. It's really good, and it carries as a project from the first track to the last track so beautifully. So check out Bleeding Nectar from Dayz. This song is called Stems of Jasmine. Stems of Jasmine, God, it's a protocol. No moment to bloom. Never shall not fall. The man you prove. Always severed in good faith. Ripped in broad daylight. This one can wake up in a rusted machine.
very hard. The tender boughs of innocence burn first.
Tacoma hardcore band End of Dayz has a new single out. It's called NBH2. These guys are fucking sick. Big fan of End of Dayz here. NBH2, and you can hear it now. Seattle area hardcore punk band Black Cloud has a brand new LP out. It's called Life Without Summer. I think this is my pick for album of the month. Is that a thing? I don't know if that's a thing. A great new fucking release from Black Cloud. Holy shit, this whole album is sick as hell. I highly, very, very, very much recommend listening to the album. It's great. I'm going to play the title track for you now. So this is Black Cloud with Life Without Summer off of their new LP.
So much time has passed, I still feel it. Feel the pressure.
My homies from Spanaway, Washington, Casi, have dropped another single off their forthcoming self-titled debut LP. This song is called Intrusive Thoughts. There's a video for it as well. Go watch that. The album will be released June 19th, so be watching out for that. There's going to be CD and vinyl release, so definitely pick that up when you can. Order it online or when you see them at a show. Get that new album on June 19th because it's going to be fucking sick. This is Casi with Intrusive Thoughts.
Okay. Turn them off. I just wanna feel like I'm in fire. I just wanna feel like I'm on top. I know we all have intrusive thoughts, but I can't ever seem to turn them off. I just wanna feel like I'm enough. I just wanna feel like I'm on top. Okay. How much did I drink? I think I'm coming out my body. She got me and all her girlfriends in this fucking party. When I'm in the function, yeah, my eyes they tend to wander. Let's not talk about it. My thoughts be killing, so let's ain't got no energy. Trying to make a little membrane. Pretty bitches say shots so Kevin. New bitch, same shit, some color. Hit the door and pay no color. So high, I forgot her number. I know we all have intrusive thoughts, but I can't ever seem to turn them off. I just wanna feel like I'm enough. I just wanna feel like I'm on top. Intrusive thoughts, but I can't ever seem to turn them off. I just wanna feel like I'm enough. I just wanna feel like I'm on top. I know we all have intrusive thoughts, but I can't ever seem to turn them off. I just wanna feel like I'm enough. I just wanna feel like I'm on top.
Yet another Portland band. My good friends Benchscraper from Portland, Oregon, have dropped the first single off of their new album. The single is called Scheduling Conflict. If you've seen them perform anytime this year, you've probably heard that song. They've been playing it for a minute. The album will be released later in June. It's called A Falling Knife Has No Handle. It's going to be sick as hell. Check out this single now from Benchscraper called Scheduling Conflict and get ready for the album because it's going to fucking rule.
The righteous indignation about this big expose that it turns out that Noma and her neighbors that be super abusive to people, like y'all are shocked. It's crazy. Like, there's a culture of physical and emotional abuse in fine dining and restaurants in general. It's got to end. It's disgusting. It's terrible. But clutching your pearls about it, like y'all already know, you love it. Don't even play like that.
No breaks, I'm burning in your eyes, waiting for release, so cold and lonely. No choice, the labor of your life, someone else's rise and the clock ticks slowly. Helpless, helpless, favored end. For what I suffer once again. Schedule talk, till the end.
And finally, Seattle band Trash Sound Conglomerate has issued a new single. This one is called Skinless in Seattle. Really fun, thrashy garage punk kind of thing. Cool band, Trash Sound Conglomerate. Love to see more coming out of them. So check this out and go follow them. Support them on Bandcamp, and you know the deal. This is Skinless in Seattle by Trash Sound Conglomerate.
Yep, nobody came in. I guess I still gotta stock the show.
My name's Kevin. I play drums in a couple bands, and I work day job.
You're in a couple bands and you still work a day job. Damn.
So we all, I think, have to do the day jobs. This doesn't pay any bills.
No, absolutely not. You said a couple bands, one of which, of course, is Kids on Fire. What other bands are you playing in?
Yeah, so I play Kids on Fire, and I do all of our booking as well, and a lot of back end administrative maintenance stuff that we share between all of us. And then I'm also the drummer for Dreadful Children. I've been in that band for about 10 years. And then I've been in a couple other bands around town. But those are the two main ones that I'm currently playing in.
Okay, I'm not familiar with Dreadful Children.
Yeah, Dreadful Children, I call it a grandfathered in punk Seattle OG punk band because we've been around for 20 years.
Wow.
And I've been in the band for 10, but we only play like once a year, a couple times a year at most.
Okay.
And it's 77 style pogo punk, similar to Toy Dolls or the Briefs. Very high energy, fun, bouncy. And it's at this point, it's just a super group of members from all of the projects. So I'm on the drums. Lonnie Bristle from the Scoffs and Bristle is the lead singer and lead guitarist. Lizzie Franks from the Disorderlies is rhythm guitar and vocals. And then Johnny Mischief is bass and vocals, and he lives down in Portland and plays in Not Here Anymore.
How did you get into punk music?
Like, one of my best friends that I've known since like third grade got me into my early, like, what I call door opener bands for punk music. So sheltered isn't the right word. I wasn't sheltered growing up, but I don't know. I feel like I didn't have a lot of my own identity when I was younger. It was more just like my parents. Here's how we want you to dress. Here's, the music we're going to have you listen to and all that. And he was one of the first people to start like introducing me to new music and, skateboard, getting into skateboarding and stuff like that. And that, that was around third grade. So I was like 9 or 10. And that was my first kind of dip in the toe. And, that's like talking Sex Pistols, Dead Kennedys, Ramones, Blink-182, The Used, so a lot of the earlier introductory stuff. And then I was a big indie kid, honestly, growing up. So I was very big into like Elliott Smith and Bright Eyes and The Cure and Belle and Sebastian. And I didn't really dive deeper into the punk realm into the stuff that you don't really know unless you're in the punk scene or listen to punk music regularly until I moved to Seattle or when I was 24, so around 2012, and Dreadful Children actually, and the Morgue, which was a DIY music venue that I got involved in when I first moved here, were what kind of spearheaded me into the punk scene. And that's when I really started getting into the other stuff and the stuff where, like, it's past the surface level where if you're not into punk, maybe you haven't heard of these bands.
Yeah.
And really diving into the local scene. I mean, I had a couple friends in high school that were in punk bands in the local scene where I grew up, and so I knew some of that stuff. I went to their shows, but I didn't really go past that. And it wasn't until I moved to Seattle that I really started getting involved in music and going to shows and playing in bands that until then, most bands I played in hadn't left the garage.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from the Bay Area. So
Okay.
I grew up in Silicon Valley, which, not known for its great punk bands or punk music scene.
Right.
And then I went to school in Bellingham, which was how I kind of met people in Washington, and moved back to the Bay. I lived in Oakland for a while and then ended up coming back to Seattle after a few back and forth trips.
Were you ever a music student?
Yeah. So I grew up playing. I played in like my school orchestra,
Mm-hmm.
and that's actually what I went to college for originally. I wanted to play in symphonies for a living.
Was that at Western?
That was at Western, yeah, in Bellingham. So I made it about a quarter or a semester into doing music on a collegiate level and decided that it was ruining what I loved about playing it and switched to something else. But yeah, no, I've been playing music since I was 8 or 9. I started an orchestra. I took piano for a couple of years. I played harp for 2 years. I played timpani for many years. And then my best friend convinced me to get a drum set so that we could start a band together. So I took lessons for a couple of years. We had many bands, which is just a creative way of saying the two of us came up with many different band names, and we maybe had one or two members at one time, but we played a total of like less than 10 shows.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
But yeah, we probably had also 10 different band names throughout
Right.
that many years.
So you were an orchidork.
I was an orchidork, yeah. I was one of the drum kids, but
All right.
I was skateboard. I was one of the kids dressed with all the spikes and the chains and stuff, and so I was a skateboarding drummer, orchidork. But I actually didn't play in any punk bands until I moved to Seattle and started going to punk shows a lot. Like I said, I was really big into indie. So me and my friend, who I had a band with, we had a lot of indie stuff where they would say, he'd be like, "Don't play as loud, don't play as fast, play weirder rhythms on the toms."
Yeah.
And then I moved here and I started joining punk bands, and they're like, "Nope, play fast, play loud, and play these like same 5 beats, and we're good."
Right. Right. You get your basic your 4 on the floor, you get your gallop and
Yeah, exactly. So it was
that.
it was funny trying to change my mentality around that, and also it made me a much better drummer. I mean, I was struggling. Dreadful Children, when I joined them, I had 3 tryouts, and the first 2 were abysmal. And I was like, "Man, these are my friends. They'll let me try out. They're gonna be so disappointed in me. I'm gonna let them down so bad. They're not gonna want to be my friends anymore." Just beating myself up. And then something clicked. Something in the speed and the gallop and the doubles clicked, and I came in that third one, and they were like, "Where the hell was that guy the first 2 times? Like, what'd you do? Did you take some like meds or something? Because you're this is what we wanted."
Yeah.
But that was like 5 hours a day, every day, just in my basement at the house I lived in, just like grinding, and then something clicked at some point, and it started making more sense.
Yeah. How has your music education and being in an orchestra, how has that informed or affected your drumming, like as far as like for what you do now?
Yeah, it's there's definitely times where I wish I had stuck with lessons for longer and took it more serious. Like I have a hard time being told that something's wrong no matter which way you do it unless it's done a very specific way, right? Which is kind of what was ruining what I enjoyed about music when I went to the collegiate level.
Right.
I'm not using the right hand technique, but it sounds right, but it's still wrong. And I have to, and there are times where I definitely wish I had been more strict with myself, be like, I need to learn this. They don't teach this technique for no reason, right? Because there are things I struggle with when I play now where I'm getting to certain speeds, or you try to mess around with blast beats, or hand syncopation, and not like being able to play with four independent uh, you know appendages and not trip yourself up, and doing better with practicing when I was younger and really grilling into my head would have made a difference as I'm older now. But the with the classical training, it has really helped for when I learn new stuff. I growing up playing in bands, I never really sat down and tried to learn other people's music. Like I never really was like, hey, this is one of my favorite bands. I'm gonna learn how to play the drums to their song. That was never really my thing. My thing was just like, hey, let's get in this room and let's jam and see what comes up and make shit up on the spot and see what we like, how it sounds. That's always just kind of been my method. And
Right.
there's been, joining Dreadful Children when I joined them, they'd been a band for 10 years. Joining Kids on Fire when I joined them, they'd been a band for 8 years. And so I needed to learn all their material uh, versus just kind of making, and I've done it in orchestra and reading tabs and stuff, but there's no tabs.
Right. There's no tabs in punk bands.
Right, yeah. Unless you're one of the really big ones, it's like there's no tabs online. I got to do this all by ear, and I was like, it's a struggle. And it took me a while to kind of like figure out a groove on how do I do this? How do I deconstruct an audio recording that might not be a good audio recording?
Yeah.
And how do I differentiate the bass drum from the bass, or is that a cymbal crash, or is that something on the guitar? Like depending on the level of the recording. So it definitely helped a lot in that respect, where I was like, all right, well, I know how to read tabs, and I know how to write tabs, and I gotta go just like 10-second by 10-second clip. All right, can I figure this out? What is this? All right, write out the bass notes, write out the cymbals. Are these 16th?
Mhm.
Are these 30 seconds? And that made a huge difference when I was first trying to learn by ear how to break something down, of being able to tab it out and just kind of use short form hand for how I knew how to read music previously, and be able to kind of write out notes for myself that were made sense. Um, and then as I've progressed and learned more stuff, and I was in a punk rock karaoke band for many years, and so we had a catalog of 50 songs. I knew 50 songs that I learned all 50 of them by all different artists. And so that was also a struggle, and that also made me better of having. After a while, I didn't have to tab anything out because I could kind of break stuff down, and a lot of those recordings, some of that stuff was from like the 70s, and not even the equivalent of garage recordings.
Yeah. Very hard to pick out the drums in some of those early recordings.
Oh God, yeah.
What does punk mean to you?
Feels like an existential question right there.
It is.
Yeah, it is. I feel like there's so many different answers. For me personally, and what drew me into it, and what has always been part of what I enjoy about punk music, punk scene, playing in punk bands, is community. There was when I first came to the morgue, there was a sign above the door that said respect. And that's what the punk scene has always been about to me is community and respect for each other and a safe place where you can feel valued and accepted by your peers and not judged by a lot of the outside world the way that a lot of us who have gotten into punk or look more the punk aesthetic feel. I in high school, I had like spikes on and stuff and colored hair. And then in college, I kind of moved a little bit away from that. And then, when I moved to Seattle, I looked very normal. I had short hair, no beard, like, one tattoo, handful of piercings. But, walking down the street, you wouldn't look at me and be like, oh, that guy's in a punk band. Now, if I walk down the street and somebody says that, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Uh, but for me, it's always been about community. It's always been about like, this is something beautiful that brings us all together for a mutual purpose and enjoyment of this. And how do we respect each other at the same time? This is somewhere where one of the rules about it, and I read so many arguments all the time online about what punk is or isn't, or what punk used to be, and
Right.
and all that. And there's
God forbid
20,
something evolve and change.
yeah, and that it's always been about fuck authority and fuck the government, and yeah, sure, that's there, but like that doesn't give you a right to be an asshole in the pit and knock people over because it's all about chaos. No, that's not what
Right.
it's about. It's about something different for everybody. But I think one of the things it should be about universally is respect for one another.
Right. Because the
Uh,
main tenet being that you want your own personal freedom to express yourself and not be judged for it, but you have to extend that beyond yourself to others. And the only way
yeah,
that could happen is with respect.
exactly. And to me, that comes, respect can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And to me, some of the baselines around respect is not hurting it,
Yeah.
is not leaving the space that you've walked into worse off than before you came into that room. And I try to do that as best as I can. Um, or at least do no harm at the minimum. Uh, there's I love to reference this example when I talk about this type of stuff. Is like, so all right, Coxbar, right? Coxbar is one of my favorite bands. I love them. They're old school Oi from the UK. They're one of the forefathers in that realm. Um, but until I started going to punk shows and listening to punk, and even after I'd been into punk for many years, I had never even heard of them.
Mhm.
They never even crossed my radar. I had no idea who they were. And then I went to Punk Rock Bowling. I think it was the first or second time I went there. And I was just, listening to a playlist of all the bands playing the festival and being like, all right, I don't know a lot of these bands. Who's catching my ear? Who do I want to go see? What bands do I want to make sure I catch no matter what? And I listened to them and I liked them. And then when I saw them at the festival, is one of the it's one of the times I remember having like an out of body experience at a show. Uh, I swear I wasn't on any drugs this time, um, but it was one of those things where it's like, all right, there are thousands of people standing in this hot ass sun in this blacktop parking lot in Vegas in 90+ degree weather, and everyone is chanting these lyrics at the top of their lungs, and I can just hear I can hear the happiness, and I can hear all the emotions coming from everybody all in one voice, like because of these 4 or 5 guys playing music on a stage,
Yeah.
right? And there's something beautiful about that many people. It's something affecting that many people to that extent. And for me, that's one of the things I like to think back about when I think about like what it means to me is like the beauty of being able to have that and share that with people.
Yeah.
And my only hope is that any music I get involved in, it makes one person feel that way.
So you joined Kids on Fire. You said they'd already been together for 8 years. Um, what can you tell me about their origins prior to you being in the band, and then walk me into you becoming a part of it?
Yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna fuck this up probably. Okay. I'm not the historian of the band, that's for sure.
Fine. That's fine.
All right. So Mikey and Johnny were in a band called Rain City Schwillers. And I think those Schwillers played for like 4 or 5 years. And then the Schwillers broke up, and Kids on Fire basically, the Schwillers essentially like transformed into Kids on Fire, is my understanding. So Kids on Fire started around 2010, 2011, and they got their name from, it was a documentary about like one of those Christian summer camps where they send like the bad kids, right?
Right.
And they go and get rehabilitated and they're more Christian when they come back or whatever. A lot of trauma.
Sure.
So I think the name of the camp, it was like Kids on Fire summer camp, or like within the camp, the name of like the timeout area was like the Kids on Fire. I think it was like Kids on Fire summer camp, but I can't quite remember. But that's where the name came from. And so then after they started, they were playing around town a lot. And the funny thing is, one of my first big shows with Dreadful Children was with Kids on Fire, years and years before I ever joined Kids on Fire. They were one of my favorite bands around Seattle when I joined them, which is why I asked them if I could join when they announced their drummer was leaving the band. But so the initial lineup was Johnny, Mikey, Pope, I believe, was on drums, and I think Paul Miller was on bass, or he was the second bassist. I'm not sure who the first bassist was. It wasn't him. But so they were playing around town for about 7, 8 years, and then the first time I remember us playing together on that bigger show was Stiff Little Fingers, actually. Kids on
Okay.
Fire, Dreadful Children, Stiff Little Fingers, and another band I'm spacing on right now. Back when 5 bands at a show was the normal Friday night show. Yeah, so the first 7, 8 years, when I joined, I took over for Tony Fantozzi, and he was drummer number 2, I believe, either 2 or 3. And so when I joined, there was only 2. They only had 2 EPs, 2 5-song EPs released. And then I, came from Dreadful Children, which we were very like, we got to tour every year, we got to be recording albums, playing regularly. And I'm not saying that they weren't doing that, but we put out our first full length about a year after I joined the band, so 2019. I joined in like January 2018, and they had about 4 tracks unrecorded that went towards that album. And then we wrote another 8 tracks for that album. So we put out our first full length in 2019, and then we put out our COVID album, as we call it, our second full length in, I believe it was 2023, so 3 years ago, roughly. And on the first full length, when I joined, Paul was still on bass. Johnny and Mikey, original members, nothing's ever changed with them. So it's just been bass and drums that have been moving around, but Paul was still on bass. And then when we recorded the COVID album, Sid Broderius, our friend Sid Broderius, was on bass. He's in a band called The Emergency Exit out in Spokane, where he's based out of now. And when he moved back to Spokane, our current awesome bass case, Sam, joined the band right around 2022.
Lots of lineup changes.
Little bit, yeah. Just about standard for most bands.
Yeah. I mean, especially considering how long the band has existed.
Yeah, 16 years now.
Yeah, I had no idea that it had been that long.
Yeah. Well, I mean, prior to my joining, I think they had done one tour, and then we kind of started after I joined. We kind of started pushing a little harder on touring regularly and touring more,
Mm-hmm.
and touring longer and touring in different places. And I, that's partly because I just, I want to play every weekend if we can, and they've been nice enough or masochistic enough, I should say, to let me book them a lot. This year we went down to 2 out of town weekends in every month, and last year they let me book 3 out of town weekends every month, and I think everyone felt the social battery drain a little bit,
Yeah.
not having a lot of, because we all have like 9 to 5. Well, two of us have 9 to 5 jobs, and then two of us don't have your standard 9 to 5. But it's still draining when you're out of town every weekend.
Yeah.
To try and still have like your own social life and stuff like that as well, which I get as well. It's been nice to have a little bit of extra time at home and actually go and do stuff.
What has been a favorite experience so far with the band? I mean, you've played tons of shows all over the place. I mean, have you toured the entire US or just like West Coast, kind of north?
We haven't done the South yet. We've done West Coast, we've done East Coast, and we've done Midwest, but we haven't done the South and like very southern East Coast. So that's definitely on the radar to do that. But yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things has been, I mean, I guess there's a couple things. I never thought I was going to be on a record. Growing up playing music, like even playing in indie bands, it never like playing in the garage and recording our songs on tape with my friend. It never even occurred to me that like, hey, let's record this professionally and have it sound good.
Yeah.
Right? And so now I've played on four full length records and an EP, amongst all the bands I've been in or played in. And I never thought I'd even be on one. So that's pretty cool. To have done that. Especially because I've never considered myself like a super strong or advanced, skilled drummer. So and I don't know, growing up to me, it was always like, oh, the only people on the records who know what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm figuring this out. Like, sure, yeah, I've been trained. Sure, I know how to play this stuff, but like, I don't think I'm particularly like super creative with what I'm playing or anything like that. So that's been an honor that to me, it's still humbling that people want me to do that with them. But another really cool thing is coming out of a serious relationship, it's spurred the fire to start booking. I wasn't a booker before that. I didn't really have any interest in booking, and I didn't want to spend a lot of time by myself at that point in time coming out of the relationship. And everyone was kind enough to be like, when I was like, hey, would you mind if I took a stab at booking? They're like, yeah, okay. And they were kind of enough to let me kind of go crazy with it. And it's turned into, oh man, I can book 80 to 100 shows a year and get it going, there's obviously a handful that I jump onto where I'm thankful I don't have to do any of the work, but it's been a challenge, and also something really nice to be able to prove to myself, like, hey, this is like a whole new thing. I never even had any interest before, and now I have all this information and these skills around it that I didn't know I could. I didn't know I possessed that skill to do that type of stuff. So that's been cool. And traveling, I always say I don't have vacations. I have PTO that goes towards touring, and maybe every once in a blue moon I'll take a vacation. But in all reality, most of those vacations are based around going to festivals and watching bands if I'm not playing in them.
Yeah.
So I getting to play shows in Ireland and Scotland and the UK and Canada. It's in all over the country. That sounds way more fun to me being in a sweaty van with 4 or 5 people than sitting on a beach for a week.
Yeah, honestly, same.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, the Disorderlies, I was in the band for 2 years. So when they recorded their first full length, I was the drummer at the time. So I did the recording.
Yeah,
Lizzie's one of my
that was a pleasant surprise to me. I had checked out that album maybe a year ago because I saw their name floating around. I was like, oh, I wonder what this is all about. And I liked it. And then I kind of forgot about it, as happens a lot because there's just so much music like coming into my head at all times.
Oh, yeah.
So then when I had a band from out of town coming in, the Lucky Liquor show, the Disorderlies played, and so I was stoked to finally get to see them, and I bought their CD, and I opened it up and I saw your face on there. I'm like, no way, I know who that guy is.
Yeah, no, it was great playing with them for a couple of years, and when Kids on Fire, I just got really busy again, and I couldn't. Doing 2 bands full time was, I think that year when I was overlapping for 2 years, but the last year I was in the band, I played 120 shows that year.
Wow.
And which I loved doing, but I had, it was literally like Monday, Thursday, Friday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. After I get off work at 5, go to the band practice spaces 8 till 10 or 11. Okay, repeat for the next 4 days. All right, Friday, Saturday, playing shows. Okay, Sunday, driving home if we played out of town somewhere.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get in town early enough where I can still go buy groceries, right? So it became a lot, but it was a blast playing with them. And Lizzie's one of my best friends. We've been in Dreadful Children together for a decade now, where it used to be that was our main band that we put most of our musical focus and touring and stuff in. So it's just interesting to see where everything else everyone has kind of split to their different ways in their other bands.
What is a shark gun?
I can't tell. I couldn't tell you. I can't give away the secret.
Oh.
It's for each person to imagine themselves what a shark gun would look like. We actually have multiple shark guns that have been gifted to us at our practice space, and they all look different.
I'm thinking of that movie Despicable Me. The villain on there has a squid gun.
I've thought about that as a possibility too.
Yeah.
Does it shoot? Is it a shark that shoots bullets, or is it a gun that shoots sharks, or is it a weird mix in between?
Honestly, a gun that shoots sharks is terrifying.
Right? Nothing like a great white coming at you.
Yeah.
Or when you got that really stubborn nail, you just shoot a hammerhead at it, and it gets the nail all the way in like a riveter.
Damn. Yeah.
The funny thing about that song is that was a joke. Mikey was messing around at practice, and he was like singing that and playing along to that, and we were like, "No, all right, keep going." He's like, "No." It's like, "Yeah, no." We're like, and we just kind of pressured him into continuing to fuck around with it, and we turned it in that song, and that's one of the funny parts about it is like he is not a fan of that. He's like, it was a stupid joke, and now it's one of the more requested silly songs, and we never play it, and it doesn't actually it's not our actual stuff. It's just a stupid song we wrote at practice.
Well, that's the accidental hits.
Yeah,
just the fun dumb stuff.
Yeah, that's what he keeps juggling with. He's like, I'm gonna write this one song just to piss you guys off, and it's gonna be the popular one, and now you're gonna have to record it even though you don't want to.
Yeah. Now's the time where you get to shout out some of your favorite venues and cities that you've played. I know we kind of already touched on it a little bit, but
yeah. So of course, hometown, the Kraken. That's the home away from home. Pirate themed punk rock dive bar. That's been one of my favorite bars ever since I started going there. There's a really cool bar in Cork, Ireland, called Fred Zeppelin's. Which at first I just thought the name was hilarious, and turns out it's actually a really awesome bar as well. That's where we met a good friend of ours, James, and he helped us book our Ireland tour. When actually me, Mikey, and Lizzie went on a trip to Ireland previously to going on tour there. That's why we toured there in the first place. So I'll always love Cork. Cork is great. There's also in Vancouver, up in BC. There's Redgate. We love playing there. We love to do all age shows as much as we can. Um, and they're always all ages, and they've always treated us incredibly well. And we love the scene up there and how much they've invented us in like family since day one. And so I can't say enough good stuff about that venue. See, if we're staying stateside, the over in Portland, it's one of my personal favorite venues, High Water Mark. It's one of the bigger places I always played there, and also Twilight Cafe. Those venues are always rad when we get a chance to play there. So many cities have so many cool venues. There was this bar in Louisville that we played. We played a bigger venue, and then we went for food at the end of the night. It's right next door to this bar. We went to this bar, and Malort has become popular in our friend group the last 5 or 6 years. It is not a good drink, but it is something that we have embraced. And they taught us a variation at that bar. That bar is called Mag Bar. We played there on our last tour, actually, last year. But they taught us a variation on Malort when we were there that we have since brought back here to, I don't think, to people's appreciation.
Okay, now you have to tell me what it is. What is it?
It's called a Turbo Lover. And it's essentially half a shot of Malort, half a shot of Jaeger in the same shot glass.
What is Malort?
Malort is out of Chicago. It is not a good tasting drink, and it used to only be sold in Chicago, and it's since been nationally franchised. The best way that I've been able to describe it is it tastes like a used rubber band left in a bottle of rubbing alcohol for many years in the back of a closet, and then somebody as there's grapefruit in there too, but I've never tasted the grapefruit. I know there's a lot of other venues I can call out. I'm kind of blanking at the moment.
Well, just this last weekend, you played a show in Chicago with some homies. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was a privilege and an honor to do that. My buddies, our buddies, we friends to their band, and they're a band called 1876 out of Portland, and their drummer Luke unfortunately couldn't make it due to a previous commitment, and I was honored that they asked me to step in, and they brought me out to Chicago to play Shoot the Moon Festival at Reggie's. Reggie's was a venue I'd heard of, never been there, but it's a really cool venue. I liked it a lot. It's like 4 stories. They've got like 3 different rooms. They had like 2 or 3 different shows going on in that same night. And it's all just kind of stacked on top of each other. Not to mention the subway is, the train is like right up on the 4th floor. So we were up in the green room, which is the 4th floor, and the train is just like, on the other side of the street, eye level with you, just coming by, just really loud. But then when you're in the venue, you can't even tell. So it was really cool. It was a lot of fun, and those guys are great. They're friends of ours. Their bassist Jake, I go back with him, 10, 15 years. He's in 1876 and Throw and Unreal, and he's one of the primary bookers for Sad Times Productions. So they put on a lot of shows down in Portland and help book tours for other bands. And I can't say enough good stuff about them and the work that he does with them. But yeah, no, it was a really cool experience. I've never done anything like that. Like I've subbed once or twice for people, but I've never like traveled and flown out to sub for another band. So I was anxious and nervous, and I'd had one practice with them, and I'd had about 3 weeks to learn the material, and that was the first live show with them, and I feel like I didn't fuck it up too bad. I know it wasn't my best performance, but I didn't do the ultimate no, and I didn't stop in the middle of a song. So
yeah, you're always your worst critic.
100%.
Yeah. What are the kind of genres that you into? You mentioned early on you were into indie stuff before you got into punk. Where else does your musical taste or interest take you?
Yeah, so like I said, I was an indie kid growing up, so I was big into some more indie stuff, and then I got pretty big into like reggae in college. Surprise, surprise.
Not really a surprise.
So I got pretty into reggae and some of the older, and ska. That's when I started listening. The funny thing is, I love Desmond Decker.
Yeah.
He was one of the first like old reggae ska records I ever got. And I grew up listening to Bob Marley like most of us, but I got super into Damian Marley as well, and
Mhm.
Julian Marley and Stephen Marley, pretty much all the Marleys.
There's
Um,
a lot of them, and they're
and
all really good.
I know. And then I got into Desmond Decker, and the first album I ever had from Desmond Decker was the Desmond Decker and the Specials record, King of Ska.
Okay.
And I thought that was just his backing band. And then I moved to Seattle and I started listening to the Specials. I was like, oh my God, that's not just his band. That
Right.
was a band that did a record with him. The Specials are this unbelievable whole other band.
Yeah.
And so I got into Specials, and thankfully I got to see them a handful of times before the singer passed away. Um, but so that was really cool. And then I always loved Damian Marley because he bridged that gap between ska, reggae, and hip hop. And
Mhm.
I was never a huge hip hop like head, but I was into hip hop growing up. I tended to lean more toward like there's the classics like NWA and Biggie Smalls and that type of stuff. But I got more into the positive tip stuff. So like some of my favorites were like Andre Nicotina, Black Star, which was him and Most Def, and Most Def's solo stuff was really good too. Um, sorry, not Andre Nicotina. Andre Nicotina, his own thing. Black Star was Most Def and Talib Kweli, and I got into Black Star first, and then got into Talib Kweli and Most Def separately. And then Andre Nicotina, being from the Bay Area, he was huge when I was growing up in high school, so I got into that as well. And then I got into British hip, like Brit. I don't know what you call it. I call it Brit hop, but like British hip hop.
Yeah.
Like out of college in my early 20s, so like the Streets, and then B Reef and Anthony Brothers, and there was something about the like I don't know if it's just the accent, something about the talking part where I'm like, you can do this in an American accent and you can do it in the British accent, and the British accent sounds totally different.
Yeah.
It gives a different vibe, to it. And then I got into Britpop too. I was a huge Lily Allen fan for a long time, Kate Nash, and then more like American pop stuff like Adele and Kim Ya Dawson and some of the more like solo artist stuff. And then this wouldn't be a far stretch, but I got really into folk punk too.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who's not into folk punk who doesn't like Days and Days, right? So I was big on Days and Days for a while, and I got to play a show with them with Dreadful Children, which was cool. And then there was the interesting mix of hip hop, folk punk, which there aren't a
Mhm.
lot of artists that do that, but I think Juicy Carcass was one of those that played that show.
That's a very
Um,
specific lane.
it is. It's very
Yeah.
specific. There's not many artists in there. But yeah, so I kind of jumped all over. I never, got super into jazz. I just didn't have the ear for it. I never really have. I can appreciate certain stuff. The first concert I ever went to, and I don't remember 99% of it because I was really young. But the first one that I know that I went to was a jazz and blues concert, and it was BB King. My best
Yeah.
friend's stepdad took us to BB King when he was still playing his famous Lucille guitar.
Mhm.
So although I don't remember most of it, it's still a cool thing to be able to say that was my first show.
Yeah.
And there's the like classic rock stuff I grew up listening to, Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, Twisted Sister, what have you.
I don't know if this is a hot take, but that Appetite for Destruction, still a banger album.
Yeah, I don't think it's a hot take. I think it might be called considered boomer rock at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I take umbrage with that though, because like that was my shit when I was growing up, and I'm not a damn boomer.
But I mean, we're not boomers, but to every new generation, the boomer title's just moving lower and lower down.
Yeah.
I mean, I was also super into, the alternative bands like Third Eye Blind. I guess this falls more in the punk realm, but I was a huge fan of the Used
Mhm.
growing up. Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely a lot of radio stuff. This might be a deeper cut because I don't know how many people remember this band, but I've never been very confident in my singing voice. I'm still not. But I remember specifically one band. I had this album just on repeat in my head in middle school, and I had one of those old boom boxes with the CD player and the tape deck in the front, and I tried to record myself singing along to this song, and I'm glad I don't have it because I'm sure it doesn't sound good. But it was this band called Our Lady Peace, and
Sounds
they were
familiar.
they were in the alternative realm, like the radio alternative realm. I think they had like two or three like big radio songs. It's something about his voice. There's just this like scratchy, craggly, but also melodic sound to it. It sounded different to me than a lot of the other stuff out there. I don't know. I specifically remember trying to record myself singing and being like, "Yeah, all right, that's right. I play drums."
So besides music, what else are you really into? What are you passionate about?
Oh man, this is where I tell most people I feel like I'm boring because that's about all I do most of the time is work and music. And a lot of the back end are in the music stuff like booking and stuff like that. But I don't do a lot else at the moment. If I'm not playing shows, I'm at shows. I mean, I've always been into video games since I was a kid. So, I have an Xbox. I'm an Xboxer for life.
Mhm.
I grew up with PlayStation and PC, but the Xbox is what stole my heart, and that's what I've been stuck on. So, I've played video games my whole life, and I go through phases of I won't play it for like 8 months, and then I'll be stuck in one game and play it for like 6 months straight, and then I won't touch the thing again for like another 7 months. So it's very highs and lows. I'm more of a social gamer. I'm starting in my late 30s to try to learn how to enjoy it by myself, but I've always been I enjoy playing it with friends online and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It's a form of hanging out and talking while shooting at stuff or trying to figure out puzzles. So I've been doing that. One of the things I love to do is I love a good street fair. I love a good vintage sale. So I like to go to events. There used to be one. It just stopped happening this year, but I had been going to up in Magnuson Park, and it happened like every couple months. And it was, but it was a weekend only, like evening street fair where it didn't start till like 7 o'clock and it would go till like 11 o'clock or something like that. And then on Fridays they'd do adults only, and then on the weekends it'd be open to the whole family. But that was a cool one where there'd be like 100 plus vendors, and I don't even buy shit 99% of the time. I just like to go and look at stuff. So,
Yeah.
I wear lots of jewelry, I wear lots of rings. So I'm always on the search, even though I have I only have one thumb without a ring on it. I'm still always on the search for that next ring, even if I don't have space for it right now.
Of
Um,
course.
I'm also, I mean, tattoos and body mods. I plan to go out fully suited. I've got probably 75% of my upper body completely covered, and then I look like that when I go to the beach. I look like that dude who does all upper body and no lower, because like I'm mostly covered on the upper body, and then I only have like a small number of tattoos on my legs, so it looks like I just have like chicken legs. So I was trying to think of what I'm going to do next because I usually tend to go with like these big tattoo pieces, but so I love getting tattoos. I mean, it hurts. I don't love that part, but uh, I like getting tattoos and lots of piercings. I have like 20 plus piercings. I'm getting my tongue split later this year, which is big. Something I've been toying with for the last year or two, and I finally pulled the trigger. So now it's just the like anxiety part until I'm in the hell week that I'm going to be dealing with once I get it done for healing.
Yeah,
But
I'm sure. Yeah.
and then I collect things. I toe that line between I won't become a hoarder and this has sentimental value, even though I haven't used it in 10 years.
Yeah, same.
So, like at the street fairs I go to, sometimes I'll buy. I like to buy stuff from local artists, so I'll buy like pictures. If a local artist has uh, a booth and it catches my eye, I'll buy 8.5 by 11 printout that they've done, and then I'll frame it, put it on my wall. And I'm trying to be better about that lately, asking for their business card, because some of the ones that don't have signatures, or they do and I don't know what the signature says, I couldn't tell you who did it, just that I
I,
liked it.
yeah, I'm so glad that my wife is really on top of that shit. She could point. We have tons of prints framed throughout the house, and you could point to any one and she'll tell you exactly who did it and where she got it. I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I might remember where we got it, but I have no idea who did it.
Exactly, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
So I like to. I collect. So I collect those. I showed you when we first got on the call. My tigers are my favorite animal, so I have a wall of tiger pictures, different mediums of art, different types of drawings. Every single one is unique and different from each other.
Yeah.
And I collect masks. I collect masks too. So I
Okay.
have. I just got gifted masks when I was younger, when I was a kid, and it just kind of stuck. And
What kind of mask are we talking about here?
from all over the world. So like I have one from my older brother from when he lived in Italy. It's a Renaissance mask, like that you wear at a Renaissance ball
Okay.
or masquerade ball. So
Yeah.
it's one of those thing like with like the really long nose, paper mache. I have my mom lived off in Mexico for like 7 years, 7 to 10 years, and so she would send me masks each year. So I have a handful of different masks from around Mexico. I bought one when I went down there to visit. I have a lot from different parts of Africa as well: Ghana, Kenya, South Africa. I have one from South America. My friend gifted me. That's from Indon. It's not South America. It's from Indonesia. And then I have one or two from China as well. So it's kind of all over. They were always kind of gifted to me growing up, and as an adult, I buy them like once a year, maybe once every 2 years. But I don't like to buy them from like Susan, who owns the secondhand store down the street. I try to buy them from vendors who are importing with family members from where they're from. So it's like I got this pair of masks that they go together, kind of like a balanced energy type of thing, and they are from Kenya, I believe. And I was talking to the vendor, is at the annual UW or University District Street Fair that they do every year. And I've bought masks from this vendor 2 years in a row, actually. And they have their family members live in Kenya, and part of how they make money is they make these masks and they import them here to the US, and then they go and sell them at like street fairs and stuff like that. So I try to be somewhat ethical as I can about it, where I'm not just buying from, the 20th white lady who has a vintage store.
Right. So what's next for Kids on Fire? What is coming up the rest of the year? Big plans? More tours?
Yeah.
Recording?
Yeah, we have a new single we recorded that'll be coming out in August. We're planning to go on a 1 week tour this year, but that's still kind of up in the air. And if we don't, regardless of whether we do the tour this year or not, we're planning to do two bigger tours next year, potentially. Everything's still kind of, with the cost of everything right now, it's getting kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And gas is a big factor when you're touring. Especially starting where we're starting. The gas is not cheap here.
Right.
So we may or may not tour this year, but hopefully we will be, and that would be in October. And then we're planning to do two bigger tours next year. We don't have a new record on the horizon right now. I mean, we have 3 singles we put out, and then the another single we're putting out in August. So we're kind of slowly building there. We have another 2 songs we have not recorded that we're working on. That if we don't do something with those this year, we'll do something with those next year. And then we have a handful of really cool. I mean, we have a lot of really cool shows, but we have a handful of bigger shows coming up this year. This weekend we're playing at Punks and Pins in Surrey, BC, up in Canada. It's really cool. It's the first time I've played in a bowling alley bar. This is the first time I will have played on the actual bowling alley lane. So I'm really stoked about that. They built a stage, and we just got informed this morning they're 7 tickets away from selling out the whole event. So
Wow.
That's really cool. So that'll be really fun. In July, we're playing Fourth Corner Punk Fest up in Bellingham. It's a 2-day festival that's just blown up, and we're playing.
Yeah.
There's a local stage and then a headliner stage, and we're playing alongside a whole bunch of amazing locals that we happen to be friends with pretty much everyone we're playing with. And then we get to play on the same day as like the Bouncing Souls, and Pennywise is
Yeah, I
playing one
saw
of those days.
Pennywise on the flyer. Yeah.
Yeah, Bad Cop, War on Women. There's just so many cool bands playing, and I'm really stoked that we get to be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then in June, we're playing with Agent Orange and the Drowns and the Scoffs at El Corazon when they come through. That's another really cool big show.
Yeah. That's a big one.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one. I've played with Agent Orange a couple times, and it's always a blast. Always a fun show when we play with them. We have a couple other things in the fire we're working on, but nothing that I can quite announce yet.
Sure.
And then we just did a new run of merch. So we have a bunch of new shirts, and we put out a charity shirt that something we're going to start doing, where we have one charity shirt at all our events, and all the proceeds from that shirt will be donated to a different charity for each new design that we do. So right now, the one we're doing goes to the Washington Immigrant Solidarity Network. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really cool to be able to do something like that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kids on Fire is self-proclaimed bummercore. Songs in the key of bummer, the best of the worst times. I mean, you guys are just, I can't imagine that you're happy people, but you are. It's the weirdest thing. You guys are, you operate in that space of happy songs about sad subjects, which is very relatable. So I'm going to hit you with the closing question here. What gives you hope?
That's a good one. Damn. Especially in dark times as these. I've had one of my first tattoos. The only thing that I've actually drawn that I got tattooed on myself is something I drew in high school, and I tell you straight up, I am not an artist in that respect. I might have cool ideas, but I don't have the hand to illustrate them. But it's one of the only things I've ever drawn that I got tattooed on myself, and as much sometimes as I have a hard time seeing it or believing it myself, it is something I still believe, and that is, with everything bad comes something beautiful. And so I guess one of the things that gives me hope is that no matter how bad it gets, no matter what's going on in the world, no matter what's going on in your life, and there's a lot of dark shit that can be going on in somebody's life, and I get that. There's a silver lining somewhere. There's something for us to look at to keep going for tomorrow, right? Like I mentioned earlier, I left a relationship that I thought was going to be my ride or die, and it sucked, and I struggled for many years. But one of the beautiful things that came out of it is I threw myself into booking and found that this is something I like doing. It's stressful and it can be chaotic, but I'm not horrible at it. I won't say I'm great at it, but I'm not horrible at it. I keep the band busy. I know how to organize information, and it's something beautiful and useful that I learned, that I pushed myself into at a time where I didn't feel like I had a lot of control over how I felt. And it was something that gave me something I could control. I could see the controllable variables to what needed to be done. Right.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that's one of the things I think that gives me hope, is that, like, it can be really bad. You can be in a dark place, but there's always something to look for. There's always something to find to keep you around and keep your head up, to keep looking towards the horizon for something better. Because there's got to be something better. There always has to be, right?
Yeah.
Because how else do we move forward if we're not all trying to achieve something better? And I think that's part of what I love about the punk scene, is a lot of it is rooted in wanting to make a better space for all of us.
There is light in even the darkest place. You just have to know where to look.
Yeah. And like I said, it's not always easy.
I did steal that from the Harry Potter series, and Fuck that lady, but those are still cool stories.
Yeah,
So.
she's a piece of shit, but those are cool stories.
Explosions in the street and fire from a spark, and we are not together, we are very far apart. Equality for all and never back away. Hold the line each and every single day. Explosions in the street and fire from a spark, and we are not together, we are very far apart. Equality for all and never back away. Hold the line each and every single day. We won't be torn down or be intimidated. We are strong and united, can't beat us. We are the lion, we are the roar, and we are the voiceless, so hear us roar. We are the lion, we are the roar, and we are the voiceless, so hear us roar. Pressure spilled numb, frustration's running free. We can only take so much, can't even see. Just keep your head down, obey all the rules. False commandments, push my fake idols and ritual fools. This isn't time to panic, this isn't just a trend. Gosh, show that we're in this together till the end. So hold your feelings high and shout these words with me. We won't back down or give up so easily. We are the lion, we are the roar, and we are the voiceless, so hear us roar. We are the lion, we are the roar, and we are the voiceless, so hear us roar. And never give ground, never lose faith. We're all in this together and we'll fight against the hate. And unity as one, revolution's gonna come. Equality for all and love for everyone. We are the lion, we are the lion, we are the roar, we are the roar, and we are the voiceless, we are the voiceless, so hear us roar. We are the lion, we are the roar, and we are the voiceless, so hear us roar. We are the lion, we are the roar, and we are the voiceless, so hear us roar.
Hey, kids.
Hey, Dad.
What do you want to do today?
We don't know.
Do you want to go to the matinee?
No.
Do you want to go to the amusement park?
No.
Do you want to go to the punk rock show?
Yeah, let's go to the punk rock show.
Coming up on Friday at the Marginal Way Skate Park is Distest, Toxic Tears, Sneer, and Open Veins. That's at the Marginal Way Skate Park on May 29th. Same day, a little further north at Base Camp is Misprints, Gumash, Sunbather Die, and Nerve Rot. That is on Friday the 29th at Base Camp. On Saturday the 30th at Base Camp is a Sweetheart Productions show featuring Overpaid from Atlanta with Sun Over Static, Casi, Swan Dive, and Velity's End. Then the following week is Punk Prom at Quality Flea Center. This is Punk Prom Volume 5. It's on Saturday, June 6th, featuring Femcell, Lucha Luna, Nogginless, Karoshi, and Killbuzz. That's at Quality Flea Center on Saturday the 6th. Also on Saturday the 6th is Capital Radio Day in Olympia. 4 venues, ton of bands, all on one block. It's $25 advance ticket. It's a little cheaper for just the all ages. Roughly half of them are all ages, the other half are 21 and up. We've gone through this. There's a ton of bands. I'm going to run through just the final announcement of bands here. Aaron Gooby and the Zips, Brute, Casi, Dead Bars, Deludo, Eep Oop, Fermented Soul, Kids on Fire, just added, Los Mal Hablados, Muscle Cats, One Drink and Other Lies, Of Wires, Picket Line, Riot Orgy, Slow Division, Sneer, Spacer, Stella J and the Monkeys in Love, Stumblebum, The Prophets, and Twin Victims. That is Capital Radio Day, June 6th at Lavoyer, Wildchild, McCoy's, and The Crypt. I'll put the ticket link at the bottom. Definitely want to get all access to that event. So definitely, if you are able to, I would recommend going to Capital Radio Day next week. If you're in the Seattle area and can't make it down to Olympia, Punk Prom sounds like fun. I kind of wish that was on Friday so I could do both. However, it's not. I will be at Capital Radio Day, so come find me, hang out, say hi. It's going to be a rad time. Well, that's the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to everybody that came out to the Real Art shows last weekend, the Terror in Tacoma 2 and the documentary screening. I had a blast. Shout out to everybody that went to JAG. I wasn't there, but it looked like a really fun time. Maybe I'll do it next year. Huge thanks to Kevin from Kids on Fire. Thank you so much for the interview. I had a lot of fun talking to you. Always a fun time hanging out. Huge shout out to all the bands that I featured. Make sure that you support them and buy merch and Bandcamp stuff. Speaking of Bandcamp, this podcast is available on Bandcamp if you don't want to deal with podcast streaming platforms like Spotify and the like. And you could also throw a few bucks at it if you want, or you don't have to. You can download the episode. Like to keep that option open for everybody. You could also find it on YouTube. Also on YouTube is show footage from shows that I've been to, and I keep a running playlist of songs featured on the show that's on Apple and Spotify. You can find all these links in the show description. Also, I gotta throw out there, the documentary Rat, A Community Love Letter is currently streaming on Ko-fi. You can make an optional donation. All that money goes directly to Real Art. If you do that on Ko-fi, you get a download of the film and a poster, I believe. Not a physical, but just the digital file of the movie poster. So definitely check that out if you missed the screening or if you just want to watch it again. It's a great watch. I had a lot of fun watching it, and I also had a lot of fun being involved in the process and being interviewed and whatnot. Also, put a link in the show notes here for Capital Radio Day tickets. Like I said, it's $25 for the whole thing. It's a little cheaper for just the all ages options. It's going to be a really rad time. So many bands. I'm really looking forward to it. Huge shout out to Chaz from Stormboy for putting that on again. Missed it last year. Totally stoked to have it this year. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. Leave you with a song from Surreal called Antinomy. Fuck fascism, fuck Donald Trump, fuck ICE, drink water, take care of your homies, and I'll see you at Capital Radio Day.
This has been a Jiggle Down Productions production.
Cool, brother. Well, thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate you wanting to talk to me. I usually sit in the background. I'm okay with that. The nice thing about playing drums is I never have to look anyone in the face past the first row because I can't fucking see you in the room.
Right.
And then I got a security blanket of 3 musicians in front of me at all times.
Your band has 3 like front people, so I couldn't interview one without like the other 2 being like, well, how come you don't want to talk to me?
Yeah, but now I'm gonna get them being like, well, how come they wanted to talk to you? Why didn't they want to talk to us? God.
If you can record an intro for me now, though, just say who you are and that this is Grit City Punk. You can do it a few times if you want.
Yeah, do you want me to just say my name, or you want me to say my name and like my main band and Grit City Punk? Or...
Probably throw Kids on Fire in there.
Hey, how's it going? This is Kevin from Kids on Fire, and you are listening to Grit City Punk.
All right. Take 2.
Hey, how's it going? This is Kevin. I play with Kids on Fire, and you're listening to Grit City Punk. Ka-chow.
Ciao. What are you, Lightning McQueen now?
Exactly. This is fantastic.
Hey, Johnny! What's up, dude? Did I tell you what I found on the dark web last night? No, what did you find on the dark web? I found the schematics for a shark gun. What is a shark gun? Well, shotgun! I got a shotgun! I got a shotgun, and it's going at the speed of light. I got a shotgun! I got a shotgun! I got a shotgun, and it's made of blood red light. My shotgun's got my savings full of teeth. My shotgun wills the dark side of the force. My shotgun's gonna destroy all the Jedi tonight. My shotgun's gonna destroy the light. Oh, a shotgun. Shotgun. I got a shotgun. I got a shotgun, and it's more than meets the eye. I got a shotgun. I got a shotgun. I got a shotgun, and it's a robot in disguise. My shotgun is so hella rad. My shotgun, it will fight your dad. My shotgun is most excellent. My shotgun wins, and that's a fact. Got a shotgun, and it's a mean one. I got a shotgun, and it's gonna be so much fun. I got a shotgun, things are done. I got a shotgun, this is a Star Trek run. My shotgun rules the Enterprise. My shotgun travels at night. My shotgun goes where no one's gone before. My shotgun kills the fucking Borg. I got a shotgun. I got a shotgun. Shut up with the fucking puns, dude! God damn it, shut up with the puns, dude! You're ruining this record! You are ruining this right now! Fuck! I'm out! I'm going to the bar!
Every single day at practice, all the time.
Seriously! Fuck that! I'm going to the bar!
Alright, fine.
You going to the bar? I'm going to the bar!
No,
One time to sing.
Alright,
I fucked it up.
You guys go to the bar, I'll meet you down there.